Some of you may have been living underneath a rock, but there's been some pretty massive drama surrounding ASUS. They make the ROG Ally, motherboards, graphics cards, gaming laptops, even monitors. ASUS makes an assortment of gaming and tech products. And a recent video has dropped by Gamers Nexus, and most of you guys probably have heard of him by now, basically talking about their experience dealing with ASUS's RMA process and how they were basically extorted and had their product held for ransom by ASUS's more than egregious and awful RMA process, and how they're not the only ones who this happened to. Many others have been experiencing ASUS's terrible practices. It could be for money, it could be to not fulfill these warranties or not to lose money or anything like that. It's a really, really annoying and very upsetting situation. Before I give my thoughts, I'll basically give you a quick summarization of the events that have taken place so far. Basically, Gamers Nexus had an ROG Ally that they ran tests on and stuff like that for the review, and they decided to test their RMA process. So basically, they opened the device up, took the SSD out, because on ASUS's website, it recommends you to, if you have data you care about, to back up or remove the drive. It's all within ASUS's warranty that you're allowed to do that. So basically, they removed the drive because in ASUS's documentation about the RMA process is that you aren't guaranteed to end up with your data back or the same drive you sent. So it's recommended to remove that if that is something you're concerned about happening. They cited a broken right or left thumbstick, one of the two, doesn't really matter. Just one of the thumbsticks were broken, and left an undocumented issue of a dead microSD card slot, because apparently ASUS still hasn't fixed the broken heating system in the Ally that it's killing microSD cards still. I haven't experienced that yet, but I don't play particularly long on an Ally at the best times because of the terrible battery life. So they sent the Ally on its way with a provided shipping label from ASUS and all that jazz, and sent it in, and after a certain amount of days it finally arrived with ASUS, and they started doing the diagnosing process, and they said the display had been damaged, so you have to pay basically for all this, the new part, handling, time, labor, taxes, shipping, all that, because the display damage fell out of the warranty and no longer fit for the free repair. And if they did not pay basically $200 for the repair, they may receive a non-functional or disassembled device in return. Basically saying, if you don't pay us, we will send you your device just in a non-functional state, worse than it was when you had sent it. And you might be asking yourself, wait, why are they trying to fix display when they sent it in for a broken analog stick? Well, during ASUS's testing process, they had noticed a small dent, not a chip, not a crack, a small plastic dent, very small, that Gamers Nexus had to use a microscope to see. And because of that, it's caused them to say, no, we're no longer doing this repair. And we're going to make them spend $200 for a brand new, the screen itself not even broken, just the plastic around the screen was damaged. And that triggered them to say, hey, you gotta pay $200 for a whole new screen. And then some very contradictory emails saying we're gonna charge you if you, or we're not gonna fix the device if you don't do this in a certain amount of time. Basically putting a lot of pressure on them to pay the $200. And they had to talk to a separate email of ASUS's to say, we don't want you to fix the screen, we just want you to fix what we sent it in for. And in the documentation that ASUS sent to Gamers Nexus saying, hey, we gotta fix your screen, there was even a picture of their documentation, their RMA sheet that they sent in saying, hey, this is broken, fix this please. In the background of the picture that ASUS sent to Gamers Nexus saying, showing them basically the dent in the plastic. It's a really insane situation. Gamers Nexus eventually got ASUS to repair just the analog stick and just do the free repair, but it took pulling teeth with ASUS to do this. And it's not just a Gamer Nexus this is happening to. There are countless reports of this happening to owners of ASUS graphics cards. Quite famously, almost a year ago now, ASUS went through a very similar drama, but for their motherboards, claiming people are, user damage on stuff that's happening in their RMA facilities. It was a very bad situation, but there was some signs of hope, especially when ASUS's, faculty started talking about we have a 5-point plan and stuff like that to fix their processes. And there was seeming to be an upturn in the situation. But this recent controversy has radically changed my opinion on when I recommend ASUS products. If I can't reliably recommend ASUS products to people, it's just not good for anybody. I love the ROG Ally, but I can't recommend that device because the moment something goes wrong with it, non-tech savvy people or people who have low patience for these kinds of situations will be forced or pushed into a situation where you're paying for unnecessary repairs. If it wasn't Gamers Nexus in the situation, that it would have been somebody who just likes to play games and just doesn't know any better, and they're now trying to get their device fixed because maybe their microSD card slot died, which is a very common issue for the Ally. They sent it in to get fixed, and now they're saying, hey, you gotta pay us $200 for a new screen. The current theory of why ASUS is being so not good with repairs is that their margins are already so thin on the Ally, and the moment you start trying to get it repaired, they are starting to lose a lot of money on the device. So they're trying to be hyper aggressive in denying warranty claims or forcing you into repairs that are utterly unnecessary. The whole situation is downright despicable. That is some awful business practices. It is just deplorable to basically scam and fucking ransom back people's hardware. There's another situation that was really popping off on Reddit. Somebody sent in Canada their graphics card, an RTX 4090, to ASUS to repair because there was a chipped plastic on the power connector. And ASUS determined that was user damage and no longer a warranty claim for them to fix, and they had to spend almost $1,200 Canadian to replace it. That is almost the price of a 4090 itself. So those kinds of things are happening to every common person who's trying to get their device repaired. Gaming laptops. People send in their laptops to get fixed and they get it back more broken than they had sent it off. People have sent and talked about this for a very long time, and it's really starting to become a real issue. I'm not saying it wasn't before, but it's just getting more and more prevalent. ASUS needs to fix their RMA process because it is dramatically changing my opinion on them as a company. I won't be able to recommend their products, and they make good stuff. But if I can't rely on them, or we can't rely on them to repair their products responsibly, it's a really tough sell to recommend to people. I love the Zephyrus G16, but if the display starts to have burn-in or the trackpad dies, I can't send it back to ASUS because it just straight either would be too expensive because they're extorting the price out of me, or I can't trust that I'd get it back in the same condition. It is a total, just awful situation, and I feel really bad for everybody who's been affected. And I'm not going to make a point now whenever I review or talk about the Ally, is that I'm going to say it has a terrible track record when it comes to repairs. I can't begin to explain how annoying and sad this is to see from ASUS. They make great stuff, but the sheer fact that you can't reliably send your products in to get repaired under warranty is truly insane. And the length they are going to pinch every penny that they can out of their customers is deplorable. I'd love to hear if any of you guys had any experiences with this, because ASUS, while I personally haven't had any problems with my devices that warranted me to send them in that I couldn't fix myself, for the average person, like friends, family that aren't particularly tech savvy, it is a major problem for them. Having to send in their devices would be almost a death sentence, or at least monetarily a bad idea. And I truly hope ASUS gets their shit together because they make good stuff. I want to recommend their products. But dear God, if they don't get their shit together, I'll be so sad when I don't talk about ASUS stuff anymore. And people are saying that the new Ally X or thing that got announced recently, that I made a video about talking about it not too long ago, is just their attempt to just start brand new, fresh, with a new layout that does not kill micro SD cards or does need to be repaired so often like the Ally. They even extended the warranty program for the Ally because of the constant, overheating issues on the micro SD card side of things. It's kind of funny. And I would love to hear once again what you guys think about this situation. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All their social media gurus down below. And last but not least, have a wonderful day.